It's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. So come get some. CromCon.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 7th and 8th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish. They're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to Kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Gilbert, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday night as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Good evening, everybody. How are you doing tonight?
Doing all right.
Hello,
John. Doing all right.
We've got like a full house. We've got 4 today. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's right. With us today, we have Rob Davis, venerable artist. 2 venerable artists. No. All right. Barb Kelberg, our Empress of Inks. And what are we
working on Divinity?
What's that?
I'm working on Divinity issue number 4.
Oh, fabulous.
I just finished coloring Sirens number 4. So that's done.
Wow.
We should be seeing that soon.
So penciler for Divinity number 4 is?
This would be Pat and Tim Kennedy.
Okay.
Of Archie fame.
Cool.
Very cool. Royal Airships has put a note in. Smart looking crew. We pride ourselves on our brilliance and your brilliance for joining us as well tonight. So thank you. And Martin.
Hey. And right behind me, if you can look and see, that is the latest colors for Wolf Hunter 2.
Who did those?
Nice.
That's me.
I know. But I figured we should ask and play it off and let people be like surprised and happy. So
yeah.
Very cool. Well, ladies and gents, hopefully we will have a good show for you tonight. If it is a wonderful, wonderful show that you enjoy, it's my topic. If you think tonight is really horrible, Barb did it. So, but one of the things that we were going to talk about today is, Silverline. We make great comics. We make comics. One of the phrases that our head honcho Roland used back for one of the earliest versions of Silverline comics for the reading generation is what he was subtitling it for a little while. And it's absolutely true. We want our comics to be read. Oh my God! Look at what Martin's doing. Martin's picking up copies of Divinity. And what else is there? Oh, look at you. In and out. That's kind of cool. Like a whole and copies of Trump's. And folks, look, he's touching the books without gloves, bare hands, possibly spine rolling them. They're not CGC graded. What do you do?
They're not slabbed.
You read them. You enjoy them, right? Oh, Kalis. That's
love them.
Yeah.
Kalis, great book. Divinity, great book. Wolf Hunter, great book. Cat and Mouse, great book. Sniper and Rook, anyone?
Yeah.
Who wrote
Yes.
them, John?
Sniper and Rook.
Who cares about that book?
Well, have to do an issue, Rob. That'd be awesome.
Get down! Yeah.
There.
Man, we've got a lot of books.
What's that?
Yeah,
We've got a lot of books. I don't even know if I've read them all.
So one of the things that we're going to talk about tonight is, going back to the idea of movies and different media and things that have been adapted. And, MCU, we've talked about quite a bit. A second, I am saving a file. I apologize. I thought I could multitask, but I'm not that good at it. All right, there we go. So, we've talked about the MCU. People are thinking kind of MCU might be at a diverging point of which way is it going to go? Back to former glory, or is it going to be phase 3 all over again? Although some people like phase 3. Some people like Burger King too. Anyway, so what we wanted to talk about tonight is a little bit
your way.
We wanted to talk tonight about movies and media, and we know the MCU has been fantastic. My favorite MCU movie, definitely without a doubt, Winter Soldier. Captain America is amazing.
Yeah, a lot of people agree with you. Yeah.
What was that, Rob?
I said a lot of people agree with you. That's probably the best MCU movie was Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I love that one. I watched some of the What If, which of course ties in with the MCU over the break. They all dropped by December 31st. Won't do any spoilers in case people haven't watched. But
I haven't seen season 2 yet, so no spoilers.
No spoilers.
I've seen season 1.
There was one, and I've only watched one episode so far. I skipped ahead, and there was one episode that I watched that had me tickled pink. It was amazing. A little more tickling, I would have been orange, but pink was fine. It was fantastic. It was great. But there's more than MCU, and there's more than Marvel comic characters. DC, we know they're rebooting again, so we're going to kind of avoid them.
Again.
Yeah, rebooting ad nauseum. What indie titles, what indie books, what indie characters would we like to see on the big screen? Ones that might not be known to the general public, like a Captain America, a Superman, a Spider-Man was. Very well, they were all very well known. Before MCU, would anybody know who a Star-Lord was?
No.
A Gamora?
No.
Like a what? So they were able to bring some of their non-A flagship characters.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty obscure. I never read Ant-Man.
And Iron Man was considered a B-level character.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. Yep.
That's the one that got everything really kicked off.
Yeah, there's a
we
reason why.
Oh, sorry.
They hinged everything on that movie, and that's what launched the MCU. And I think Dark Horse has done a great job of bringing stuff to movies too, like Hellboy.
Yes, I was going to mention that one. That one was great for sure.
Men in Black was a comic book.
Yeah.
Yep. And that was originally put out by Malibu.
Yeah. Well, one of the Malibu subsidiaries, but yeah.
Was it? Which one? Was it under Eternity?
Was it Adventure or Eternity? I forget which one. It was a black and white book.
Cool.
So,
and Amy, my wife, in the kitchen overhearing and what we're talking about, she's like, V for Vendetta.
That's right.
Yeah.
Way to go, Amy. Woo!
But what's that?
That was
like
that wasn't that a DC
book.
I believe it was a DC book.
Still a DC book.
That was DC.
But it was Vertigo.
But she got a comic book movie. I was happy. And like a not named brand one. So that was good. I'm happy. This is good.
Mask.
So yeah, we wanted to kind of talk about what were just some of the properties that we would like to see adapted. and why. You know, what would be some of the big ones? We've each kind of thrown in some names of things that we wanted to talk about today. I've also got a couple surprises too. Maybe one of them Martin might be very well. Madness Comics Network. Hey, yo, Silverline. Hey, yo, Madness. How's it going? So who would like to start off with what, give us an independent comic title that you would love to see adapted into film or a series of films?
Nexus.
Rob, tell us a little bit about Nexus, because I think that's an excellent answer.
Well, it's very. I think with Steve Rude drawing it, it was very cinematic. So I think it would transfer well. But the story hinges on this guy who he's been granted powers by an alien entity, and he dreams of tyrants and evildoers, and has nightmares about them, and then is driven to go and either kill them or I think early on it was actually killing them, doing away with them entirely. So I can see and there's so many little subplots that go along with that. Mike Barron was the writer of that, and there were so many nuances to that book. I think it'd make a great film or an ongoing TV series. But I actually think it'd probably be better as a film, have one long story, and then maybe a series of films. But Nexus, I think, would make a great either TV series or a film. More film, because I think they'll need
film.
It's cosmic.
Maybe a trilogy.
Exactly, a trilogy. But it needs to. It's cosmic in scope, so it's going to need a pretty big special effects budget to pull it off. I think it could be done on TV, but I think it would be better in a movie.
Yep.
But yeah, that's the one that sprang immediately to mind. I've got another one too, but I can hold that in abeyance until somebody else has chimed in. But that's my first pick. Anybody else?
John. Sorry. Yeah, I put it on mute.
So stop playing. Stop playing with us.
And my wife's across from me now, and she's probably going, I wish she had a mute button at home too.
Yeah.
But no, Nexus was fantastic. And, Steve the Dude Rude, oh my God, his art is amazing. I've loved his.
Although the new Nexus book is not being drawn by him.
Is this the one that Rich Bonk did?
I don't know the name of the artist.
I know
Rich Bonk. What I've seen of it, it's gorgeous. It's
up there with him.
Yeah, I think so.
I know
too. I think the
was
guy's
doing
got
one,
it.
and I don't know who's doing the newest. It might be, but definitely worth checking out.
I think so too. I think it's on my to buy list. Yes.
In the vein of Nexus, I would say Jim Starlin's Dreadstar.
Oh gosh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't think of that one, but that's a good one too. Yeah, because it's cosmic.
As well. We have Dreadstar and his little band of diverse characters, including his love interest Willow, going about the universe and kind of like Star-Lord, doing their thing, saving people, and they're really interesting personalities. I really enjoy reading Dreadstar, and I think it would make a good cosmic movie. But again, it would have to be a movie because, like Nexus, the special effects would have to be first rate, and you can't do that in TV. So it would have to be a movie or a trilogy of movies.
Although Strange New Worlds, I don't know if you've seen that TV show. Their special effects are Star Trek Strange New Worlds. That the special effects on that are pretty incredible. And they also have this new stage, and I'm sorry I'm jumping in here, but they have this new stage that's got a 360-degree screen behind them, so and it's keyed in with the camera, so that it can create worlds on a stage, so you're interacting with the cosmos or the world instead of with a green screen. So it's pretty amazing what they can do with that now.
Does anybody know Alien Legion?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the name?
I don't.
Yes, that was from Epic.
Larry
at Marvel. Epic at Marvel.
Stroman,
It's actually
Stroman drew it.
I forget who drew it. I thought I'm blanking on the name now, but it's actually coming out with a new version in the comics, and I believe they are actually going to do a film version of it as well. So film or television, I'm not sure which.
All right, so I just did a Google search. Authors Carl Potts,
Carl
Frank
Potts,
Sirocco, and it
Larry
doesn't say
Stroman.
everybody who worked on it. So.
Thanks,
Larry
Nikki.
Stroman.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah,
Nikki.
I've loved his art since Alien Legion. I thought I remembered that from my early days, my junior high days when I started collecting comics and saw that at my first comic store that I went to.
Yeah, that was the Epic comic line from Marvel. That was one of the first books from that line of books. But they were all creator owned, so it's kind of independent, depending on how you want to look at it.
Yeah, because they were able to keep the rights to that to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it
still belongs to Carl Potts.
Yeah.
So
very cool. Martin, what you got?
I've been trying to pull out something from back in the day that I was reading that might have caught the attention. Now, there's a very one book that kind of might work. It was very kind of a under the radar comic called Whisper.
Yeah.
Which is
That was
Steve
Kimiko?
Grant, Alan Grant. I'm not sure.
Was that Kimiko?
Might have been. Yeah.
Or first.
Comico Eternity or first. Somebody in there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a story about some girl who becomes sort of like a ninja, but she's like very kind of street level, like just kind of. Or that had some kind of. I think that could make a good TV show.
Yes.
But
yeah.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
It was episodic, but it was very down to earth and grounded, and so I initially didn't think anything of it, and then my kid brother, he read it and said, "This is actually a really good book," and I was like, "What are you talking about? I can't stand the art. I can't stand anything on this book and whatever." And I sat down and read it and went, "Wait, this is way better than I thought it was." So like it was, and I was not giving it a fair shot at all. So. Yeah, it was that could be a something that sitting somewhere in the back bins that somebody could dig up and go, hey, here's an unknown property that we could totally capitalize on. So yeah,
I am pulling up one more picture, and hopefully I can make this work. So, the first one that popped into my mind, and let me see if that will let me do this.
Share your screen. I can pull it up.
Actually, I'm going to try to do something different here. And let's see if it'll let me do it. Let's see.
Dun,
That's going to work.
Dun, 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 dun.
dun, 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 dun.
Aha.
Grendel.
Oh,
Matt
yeah.
Wagner's Grendel. So, yeah, this is the first one that I thought about. Grendel, it was Comico back in the day. Found a house at Dark Horse. I loved just the visuals. It started off in Comico Primer #2, and it was the idea of, Grendel's the bad guy. He's the smooth-looking bad guy. And Argent is the good guy, and he looks like a horrible demon monster. And it was a fantastic tale. It was
everything on its head, yeah.
Yeah, and it was just amazing. And you've got Hunter Rose, the original Grendel there, who after a while is not Grendel. And the way that Matt Wagner took it and changed Grendel from just the concept of a character, and an amazing character with an amazing visual. Everyone's looking fantastic in the new year. Thanks, Tommy.
Happy birthday, Thomas.
Happy birthday
Day
to
to
Tommy.
It's a Flora Monty
Happy
fly
birthday to you. Don't stream while you're driving. Happy birthday to you. Okay. But yeah, no, I really love how Matt Wagner was able to go through and update what he had, with Grendel and bring things into lore and change. And so anybody remember who the second Grendel was?
I wasn't following the book.
Anybody? No? Okay. Yeah, darn, I didn't get those pictures pulled down. So, like, the second one was a girl named Christine Spar, which wound up somehow being related to him. So it was a different artist team. It was the Pander brothers. I love you guys. Thanks. Good, Tommy. We love you too. It was very Nagel-esque, the 80s well-known artist Nagel. Most people probably remember him from
very silkscreen looking. Yeah.
Yep. And it was very much like that. Yep. And after that, when Christine Spar died, then the Grendel Force at that point moved on to Brian Sung Kim, Brian Lee Kim. Oh, it'll come to me. But it was her boyfriend, so he wound up with with the Grendel Force in him, and then eventually it wound up when it was at Dark Horse. We got Grendel Prime, and it was based in the future, and he had
might make doing that kind of story, doing those kinds of storylines might be difficult for say a TV series, because you want to have a star who's always going to be the character. So that might make that one a little difficult to bring to, especially the small screen. It might not be too bad on the big screen. James Bond has been.
That's exactly it, because
it might work better on the big screen.
It could be like a quadrilogy of trilogies. As we start off with, what's that, Barb?
A quadrilogy of trilogies. I got to remember that.
Yes. That we get 3 awesome movies, starring Hunter Rose as Grendel. At the end, the Grendel Force passes on to Christine Spar, where she picks up the mantle. This avoids one of the problems that we're having with the MCU, with people getting too old to play the roles and they're getting retired for a while. This has the build.
Come to think of it, because of Doctor Who, working off of that, it might actually work as a TV series as well. And if you play it right. So
and with the different people, Brian Lee Sung, that was his name. The third one, with the different incarnations of Grendel, it takes on different tones. And so none of the trilogies of movies, if we do 4 trilogies, would even feel the same, but they're all tied together by the same force. And Grendel Prime is totally off, way different than what we originally had with Hunter Rose. So I think that would be an excellent way for them to be able to explore different story types, different genres, but have already a built-in audience from previous shows or movies and series.
But that's exactly how the comic works. So yeah. So just so you know,
the comic.
Yeah. So just so you know, they actually have they actually made it a Netflix series, and they went for a full season, and then they canned it. Of
Grendel?
Yeah.
When?
They did.
Yeah. No. They shot the whole season, and they never aired it.
It'll show up somewhere. If they've shot it,
I just read the actor who played the role, and he's like.
Why are they paid him?
He shot it, so they probably paid him, so he at least got paid for it. But,
and they're scrambling to come up with things to cover the dead air that they've had as a result of the actors' strike.
Yes.
Right.
So now would be a good time to
maybe they could dredge that up and put it together and put it out there. It's probably not
quality.
I bet it doesn't have much post stuff done for it yet. They shot it and then shelved it. It may not have all the stuff done for it.
So it says I catch myself thinking as I and hundreds of talented, tireless, wonderful people shot not just a pilot, not just a few episodes, but an entire season that might now go unseen.
That's rough.
That's That's
So-
sad.
So they canned it.
unless it's really bad. But I can't think they would do a whole season of bad TV.
Well, Marvel did that with
gotta be
Echo,
some-
didn't they?
Marvel did that with who?
Echo, the character that nobody cared about or wanted from Hawkeye.
No.
Yeah, they've done a. Have no intention of watching it because it doesn't hold any interest to me at all.
So, but a Netflix series, a bad Netflix series, that kind of is like, really? Like Netflix would actually produce something, and it would like after 1 or 2 episodes, they wouldn't pull the plug after they saw the they shot an entire season. Like
whole season. Why would they do a whole season?
Yeah, why would they let it go if it was that bad? So something's not adding up.
Yeah, something's not right there. Yeah.
Unless they're doing the same thing that DC was doing and writing it off as a and that way
which is what Marvel did with Warlord of Mars, right? So or John Carter.
Which was
that was
ended up being
Disney.
called John Carter, but
but no, actually that got released.
No, it got released, but I read the backstory.
Universally panned.
Well, it was actually a decent. It's a good popcorn movie. It's actually a decent film.
I love it.
I thought it was a great film.
I didn't mind it at all.
So
I was waiting for the sequel.
Yeah, I wanted a sequel too because I thought it was a fun. It was a fun movie. You could just sit down and turn off your brain and go for the ride. It was like you didn't have to think too much, and the story made enough sense that it wasn't completely terrible. And yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
In fact, it made more sense than the books did, as far as I'm concerned. Have you ever read the Mars series from Edgar Rice Burroughs?
Yeah,
okay.
I
couldn't get past the first one.
The thing is, I read it as a teenager and thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then I just recently went back and tried to read it and like, oh my god!
Yeah,
so it was intended for a certain audience.
I couldn't get past the concept of astral projection.
I couldn't get past the total machismo of the whole. The
there's a lot of that.
Girl, and this strong,
Well,
and,
that was
and
the
new
pulps.
Deja Thoris, and yes,
that's what they did in the pulps, though, and that was
very pulpy.
come to think, if this is a guy who Edgar Rice Burroughs failed at everything he tried until he wrote A Princess of Mars. And then, because he read pulp magazines, and he went, I can write this. I can write better than this.
So
he wrote that,
cheesy.
and boom!
But which came first, Tarzan or Mars?
Princess of Mars. Yeah,
Princess of Mars came first.
it's the first thing he ever wrote.
Oh, okay.
But yet,
So-
when I was a teenager, I thought it was fantastic.
Right.
Well, and that's who it's written for. It's written for a simpler, someone who's a simple, straight ahead, fun story.
Yeah.
Action-packed story. And of course, in those days, you had to be macho, so if you were a male. So yeah, but
yeah. So the whole backstory on that one, though, it ended up being Marvel intentionally did it as a write-off. So they.
So that was the case.
They ended up diminishing all the advertising. They made it. They made the poster as useless as possible with just words, no imagery.
The guy who greenlighted it left the company or was fired.
Yeah.
And the guy that took over didn't want to put together and promote a film that he didn't have any input into when it was made. So they cut the budget on promotions.
Yep.
And it should have been called something besides John Carter.
Yeah.
It should have been at least John Carter
actor.
of Mars.
Yeah.
They really did him dirty.
Yeah.
Which
is unfortunate.
He did a great job.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
he
and this was his big break after Friday Night Lights, and they basically, that poor kid. They could have
But that's Hollywood. That's how it is. You never know. You throw the dice, and sometimes you come up snake eyes, and sometimes the dice are weighted against you.
All right. So we've had Grendel, we've had Whisper, we've had what's the other two titles that we What was the first title you mentioned as a possibility?
Nexus.
And Dreadstar.
And what was yours? And Dreadstar. All right. Where are we going next there, John?
All right, let's circle back around. I know that Rob said that he had another one that he was ready to go with, but he was giving everybody a turn first. What you got, Rob? What was your next one?
Grimjack.
Ooh.
I remember Grimjack being pretty big back in like the 80s and the.
I think that would make a great TV series.
Oh. So I remember seeing the book on the shelf, but I never picked it up.
Grim and gritty, really influenced by Blade Runner. Had a lot of the imagery from Blade Runner in it. It was very, I bought every issue that came out from First Comics, and I loved that series. So I would think, if you found the right actor to play him the right way, I think it could. I could think it could kick some
Wasn't
butt.
it Mike Grell that wrote that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, not Mike Grell.
He drew it.
No, he didn't draw it either. Tim Truman drew it.
Oh, Truman.
No,
right.
Jim Ostrander.
Oh, John Ostrander.
John Ostrander wrote it, created it, and wrote it. Yeah.
Why did Barb and I go to Truman for some reason?
Yeah, you went to Mike Grell.
Mike Grell, sorry.
What did he do for them? He did
the native one. What's the native book?
Wait, Grell, Shaman's Tales? That was Image.
My brain will come up with it. He did something. He did something for them. It was It was a.
Did he do Turok?
I think he did a couple Turoks. Shaman's Tears.
No, it was something. It was for First Comics. So
yeah.
Mike Grell first, and I can't remember the name of the character, but he was the first couple of issues. He had a costume, but after that, he didn't wear a costume.
John Sable.
John
Sable freelance.
Mm-hmm.
But he also did a native book. Yeah.
Well, Tim Truman did one called Scout.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, why are we mixing Tim Truman and Mike Grell up?
Because we're really old.
No, but
well, they were contemporaries.
Are their styles so similar that we would think that one is the other and the other?
Oh, Mike Grell's got a more Neil Adams-ish look to his work.
In 35 years, some of these books have become.
The names and stuff kind of meld together after a while. If you, especially since I don't think John Sable has not been in print for a while. Neither has Grimjack or anything like that.
It's my turn.
All right.
Yep, your turn again.
Okay.
I think that would make a great show.
I'm going to take it away from the grim and gritty.
Okay.
And
good.
In the vein of the current or the Lightyear movie where it was all CGI, but it was more realistic than Toy Story. Mm-hmm. I would like to see Bone.
Yes.
Bone.
Done as a movie.
Oh, that would be perfect.
In a
kind of like
with
Tintin.
CGI.
Yeah, I think Bone was actually either optioned or had been started as a cartoon somewhere, and then it got canned as well.
That's too bad because I mean it would be perfect if it was done in the same fashion as Lightyear. So
I remember when Bone found a home with Image for a while.
Yeah.
What was his imprint? Was that Cartoon Comics?
Yes.
Your cartoon books.
Yep. And then there was the whole industry not doing so great, and so he found a safe haven at Image and successfully published there for quite a while, if I recall correctly, and then went back under his own banner.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, very cool.
So I'm not putting any hope out for this, but Apparently Bone is coming to Netflix as an animated series. That was in 2019.
Bone was canned many times, first by Nickelodeon and then by Netflix. Well, they just didn't do it right. the right treatment. You need the right treatment for it.
So
I mean, how hard can it be? They have the storyboards in front of them. Just do the story in the book.
Well, it's the old story about the producer's got to stick his finger in it, you know.
Yeah.
Before we conclude tonight, I want to hit on the Silverline books. That would be good.
Yes. Well.
Yes.
Obviously, Cat and Mouse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it has already been optioned once many years ago.
Yeah. So
because
I don't know.
Has talked about the Hollywood treatment of it, and it's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
They tried to
For
do
one
with it.
thing, I mean, Cat and Mouse is so deeply embedded in New Orleans, and they wanted to shift it to LA. That was the first big mistake.
Oh, yeah. All of Silverline is Silverline Central, as I call it. That is. Oh my God, LA. Oh my God, that is New Orleans. Period. End of story.
Yeah, and then they wanted to they wanted to change up the characters and make them like this and that. Basically, what they just made up it from whole cloth, and that's not Cat and Mouse. Basically, what they wanted to end up with was the name Cat and Mouse, and nothing else matched.
Well,
so he turned it down.
Good for him.
Yeah, he had integrity enough to turn it down.
Yeah, if it's not what your character is, yeah.
Well, if they take it that far afield, that dilutes the impact of your IP. So yeah.
How far would you bend if they came talking to you about Sniper and Rook?
You know, I've thought about that many a time. I really don't want to sell rights to it just because I want to be able to keep that creative control. How far would I bend? I probably wouldn't bend that far because I'd want to make sure that the characters are portrayed the way that I envisioned them. You know, there is political intrigue, there's action, there's spy. So if they go into like a, extreme this end or extreme this end political philosophy that doesn't align with the book or the characters, I'd have huge problems with that. Could they be relocated from DC? Sure, but they serve at the Pentagon. Could we make them Canadian? What's that all about? I don't know. We probably won't have a chance to get to it, but one of them I was going to throw up there tonight was Captain Canuck, because I love
Captain Canuck.
Yeah,
Captain
yeah.
Canuck,
But so like making them Canadian, I don't know. But
so
I don't
Sniper
know
and
how much I would bend either, just because I know who they are, and it would need to be them.
So the intriguing thing with Sniper
how much
and Rook,
money they offer.
Money is great. But I honestly kind of look at them as my original kids. They are my first kids. I don't know why
do you want to sell your children?
Kids.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and get rid of that one. Yeah, and so I want it to be true to who they are, not just buying a name. Kind of like what you were saying. That's what they wanted with Cat and Mouse. It's like if they're the characters, I want them done right. And those are my kids. So I that fits it. That being said, I find which way to go. There was actually a TV show on ABC a couple seasons back, lasted only one season, which was a shame because it was a lot of fun. It was called Whiskey Cavalier. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I've not watched The Walking Dead, but I believe the woman who plays a character named Maggie on Walking Dead was on there. And I even looked at him like, oh my God, if like Sniper and Rook was a TV show, this would be it. It was very cool, very character driven. Really, really dug it, So Sniper was one of them that I had on my list, unabashed plug. I would love to see a movie or a story, a series, TV show. I've had actors and actresses picked out for 20 years now, and they keep changing because Sniper and Rook don't change in age, but the actors and actresses do.
Actors do. Yeah. So the intriguing thing about Sniper and Rook, it can be either a TV show or a movie, but the cool thing about it is, as long as your characters for your concept, as long as your characters maintain the integrity of their characterization, you could technically put them anywhere.
Yes.
Right? Because they are spies, right? So, I mean, it's kind of more James Bondish than, like, I mean, you still have their home base in DC or whatever, but basically they can go anywhere.
Yep.
So, but
And
the characters have to, but like Bond, they have to maintain the character throughout. You can't just, because otherwise that's not Sniper and Rook, it's something else.
And that was one of the things, actually, when I created the characters, I intentionally, wanted them to work for the government, because the government, we know, have their hands in everything. So, issues 1 through 5, good old spy story, espionage, White House has been taken over. Then we've had movies like, White House Down and something else very similar, a few years later. But then issue 6 comes along, and Sniper and Rook are fighting aliens and monsters. That's the cover to issue 6 there. I like the idea being able to drop them into different genres. And I think that would serve very well, like for a TV type show, how X-Files had their mythology episodes. And they also had, the Monster of the Week episodes. I think that something similar could be done with my kids.
I preferred the Monster of the Week ones myself.
I like the mythology ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if any TV companies or movie companies are looking for content or ideas, I mean, Silverline has got the books. We've got Trump's. This would be an excellent movie, I think, because
absolutely,
it's a standalone thing.
The visuals,
and it has intriguing, awesome visuals, great idea. It's fun, and then of course Barb's own Divinity.
I think that would
make
TV series.
Absolutely, 100%.
A great TV series. I think so.
In Divinity, that would attract so many different audiences. That would attract comic fans, but it would attract people who just like good stories, as well as people who want something with an emotional pull. I mean, you're crossing multiple fandoms with that.
And if you can do it right, maintain the intrigue and mystery, and it's got a younger character. If you do it right, you can still appeal to the younger audience at the same time. And I think if you can make it a family show with all those elements, that would be an awesome thing.
I was saying this before we came on the air, was that I had just come off of a massive Supernatural binge before I started writing Divinity, and I was completely in love with the roadshow type aspect, like The Prisoner or Route 66 or the Fugitive, I should say, not The Prisoner, The Fugitive, where they're on the run.
A free man.
Yeah, and they have an overarching enemy, but all the shows were kind of self-contained, subplots. And I've always loved that type of genre. So when I wrote Divinity, I wrote it as a roadshow.
Nice.
Like, for all intents and purposes, you basically got the storyboard right here. It's just, like, hey guys, just.
Oh, we can't see it.
That's what happens when you put those false backgrounds up.
There we go.
Oh, the motorcycle?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, all you have to do, TV people, is follow the book.
Yes.
Did you guys know? Yeah. And actually, I say lots of goofy, silly, funny things, especially when I'm at work all day, come home, have time to scoff down a thing of Hamburger Helper, and then get right with you guys on the TV. The streaming services. Did you know that Sniper and Rook actually do appear in a movie?
Really?
No. Sniper and Rook can be you. It could be yours on your big TV from DVD or hopefully streaming. There is an actor, a very fine gentleman named Chad Rook. Chad has been, he's Canadian, so Martin, you probably know him. Sorry, man. But no. Chad was a weather wizard in the Flash TV show. He played one of the main henchmen in the TV show Timeless that I loved. I'm trying to think what else he did. I'm drawing a blank right now, but he's done a lot of other things. And years ago at this point, he was at a convention, and a woman that I worked with quite a bit was at a convention, and he was talking to her, and he was telling her about like a plan that he had for a movie that he was going to write with a friend and direct and produce and put out. And he did. And what he was looking for, because one of the characters was a huge comic book fan, he wanted to not have to deal with Marvel or DC, and he wanted to have independent comics. So we had like posters and, you know, books and everything. So the movie title was called The Perfect Pickup. So it's a bunch of guys who've never had any luck dating women, and they decided to become like the perfect men to like pick up women. And one of them was a really geeky, nerdy comic book guy. And when you look in his room, he's got Sniper and Rook posters. And when they have the opening scene and you see him, they took the picture I had, Sniper and Rook, that I just moved a couple minutes ago. That got cut out and actually used as a lunchbox. You know, that was the lid of a lunchbox. There's some pages taken from the Sniper and Rook pinup book from 2007 on the guy's walls. So yeah, if you check out Chad Rook's The Perfect Pinup, Sniper and Rook will be peppered throughout that movie. It is
that's awesome.
Did you get any kickback from that or no?
Nope. That was actually like one of the things where, you know, I believe he was pretty much funding himself too, because he was trying to find a distributor, you know, for a little while, and then it got distribution. I've got a whole bunch of the DVDs myself because I was like, I need to have a bunch of these.
So that's how you got paid.
And so, yeah, you know, for something like that, it's like, for me to be able to say, oh my God, you know, this awesome dude was looking for comics and like, you know, the Beta 3 comic stuff enough that Sniper and Rook are prominently displayed in there. That's super, super cool. My one regret with that was I was at Wizard World Chicago when he had sent me a message on Facebook, and I had not seen the messages because I was paying attention to the con. He was asking if I had a high res of one of the pictures because they had like an arcade machine, and he wanted to actually do Sniper and Rook on the side of the arcade machine as well. But he needed a higher res photo. And I responded, but they already were working on the movie. And so he needed like the file like right away, and I didn't see it that day. So unfortunately they didn't get an arcade cabinet. You know, but it was so cool to see him on the screen. It was amazing.
Yeah. That is super cool.
Yeah.
Could I drop one in for you guys?
Drop another.
Yeah,
what's another?
The last one that I throw in for today. There is a gentleman out there named Dave Ryan. Don't know how many of you have heard of Dave Ryan, but Dave Ryan's been working on a project for a long time now called War of the Independents. Anybody familiar with that one? Have you guys heard of that one?
I'm familiar with the name. Other than that, I know no details.
Dave, he was publishing his own books and was looking to basically get a whole bunch of independent publishers together to bring all their characters together. To fight this big bad of his. And since it's been in the works for a while, some people have, pulled their characters out because they don't want to be a part of it now. Storylines changed, but this was one of the pinups. You could see everything from Bill Mouse's Nera X, which was going to be one.
Zippy the Pinhead's in there, yeah.
What's that? Milk and Cheese, the Zippy the Pinhead. Let's see. She, Badger, Zot, Cerebus. Who's that, Barb?
Captain Canuck is in there, yeah.
Who's in the bottom corner by where it says Sniper, Rook, and more? Is that Bone? Yes, that's Bone.
Yes, it's Bone.
Bone's in there,
yes,
yep.
I'm trying to see it. It's very tiny on my screen.
It's stupid. I'm pointing at it. I'm like, yeah, you can't see that. Francesco. What's it called?
Too much coffee, man.
Ecstasy.
Too much coffee, man. Yeah.
Yep. Too much coffee, man. So this, there were several issues that did come out, and they're still working on it. I cannot wait to see some more. There is one piece that I'll show that was a really cool one. And some of the characters did change on this too. And it's pulling up. All right. So, we've got, again, Bill Mouse's Nira X. We've got She. That is Dawn, Cry for Dawn, Joseph Meisner.
Yep.
If you look in the corner, who's that girl? Who's that blonde in the leather jacket? Yes, that's Rook. So there was one issue that was designed to be all female characters, in a battle. And so Francesco, I've known him many a year, great guy. He made sure that Rook was properly represented there too, which was really, really cool. I would love to see War of the Independents in some form on a big screen, because that would be great for indie comics across the board.
It would be. It'd be fantastic.
Because we're all in this together.
Yep.
My brush with having a character go possibly to a movie was the first job I did with R.A. Jones, Scimitar, which was an adult. It ended up becoming an adult book. We actually had film star Tracy, I believe it was Tracy Lords, wanted to get the rights.
I liked your early works.
Yeah, she wanted to get the rights to Scimitar and do a movie. And they were doing the talks, and it was at Malibu. Actually, they went out to get an agent, and as soon as they got an agent, the other side dropped the whole thing. They were afraid they were trying to get it for a song and a dance, and Malibu went to get an agent, and they went, "Oh, maybe we're not so interested." What they don't realize is all we were getting the agent for was to make sure everything, was in line. We weren't going to ask for an arm and a leg. We'd taken a toenail.
That's safety and protection.
Yeah. We were just trying to protect ourselves. But
for God's sake, when you buy a house, you have a lawyer there. And I just remember, like, when I bought my house, the lawyer, he was great, but he's just like, okay, sign here, sign here.
I even did some drawings. No, it wasn't Tracy Lords. It was another actress who had done some X-rated stuff, and I cannot think of her name, but she was a blonde. But I actually drew pictures of her as the character in the costume of Scimitar's costume. So so it actually got that far. They had me do that so we could try and sell it to them, but it never happened because we threatened to get an agent in on the deal.
And it was not even really a threat.
That would have been fun to see that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. That's too bad.
But that's the way life is in comics. You get the rug yanked out from underneath you. Just when you think things are going to go perfectly, sometimes somebody comes along and yanks the rug out. So,
and you got to wonder how often people in comics are approached and don't make it as far as
I bet more than we hear about.
Derek Robertson,
a lot more than we hear about.
Derek Robertson's The Boys made it to Amazon. But I wonder, I should ask him how much control he actually has over it. I know he appears on set once in a while and gets to shake hands and see the stars and stuff, but I don't know how much say he has over the storylines.
Depends on how good his agent is, whether he wants that. Mm-hmm. He may not even want that. A lot of times just getting the idea of your book into another medium is a lot of fun. And
I think a lot of it also has to do with how much somebody is really tied to their specific IP. Mm-hmm. So for example, Barb, you love Divinity. Divinity is yours. You've put your heart.
I could bend on a couple of things.
But
Age of Divinity
you've created that you would bend more on, because I don't want to say don't mean as much to you as Divinity does on the heart, but it's like it's not Divinity level.
Mm-hmm. See, I can see a network wanting to age her up a few years to a teenager, because a 12 and 11-year-old is like, and and if they want to mess around with race or something like that, they might want to do that. But other than that, I don't think I would bend a lot. I can definitely see a network.
I don't think
wanting
you'd
to-
have to, because you don't. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's one of those cases of why mess with it much? It's a pretty good concept as it is, and wouldn't be that difficult to transfer to the screen.
No,
Special effects wouldn't be that expensive.
I can see them wanting to age her up to a teenager to appeal
that would
to
make
the
some sense. Yeah,
to appeal to the teen crowd. But other than that, I don't think there should be any.
That would give
much
her
change.
opportunity if you're going to be like, doing the road show type ideas you were talking about.
Mhm.
That would give her the opportunity to have like romance along the way.
Mhm.
Because I don't think romance of a 12-year-old would be a good idea, but
No,
an older
Yeah.
teen,
there might be some triggery stuff with throwing an 11-year-old into this, and parents going, "Oh my God, it's so violent! You have a kid in there." I can see that actually, but other than that, I don't think there would be a whole lot to mess with.
So
But
I
if
changed
it's
my
done
backpack.
tastefully, I think you can.
Go ahead, Martin.
No, I was just going to say, if Divinity is done tastefully with the 11-year-old or 12-year-old, I mean, I think there's no issues there. I think where the issues start coming in, if they start politicizing things, then you start going, come on, like really, just stick with the story, right? They always want to interject, but
Yeah, and make sure, or they'd probably make sure that she would be coupled with a very strong lead of adults as well that could carry on the more adult themes than the kid to the young one to the more kids themes.
Yeah, and another thing that they'll probably want to do is throw in some romantic undertones between Olivia and Zach, which might happen way down the road, but I don't foresee anything like that.
they're too worried about keeping ahead of the bad
Yeah.
guys so far to
Yeah.
get much interested in each other. Yeah.
But I can see a network wanting to do that because it would, UST sells unresolved sexual tension. Just like it. But you know what? See,
Like moonlighting.
It died as soon as they
Their will they, won't they went
As
away.
soon as they got Maddie and him together,
Well,
yes,
Yep.
it killed it.
same with what was the Castle?
Castle.
The second they got together, it was like,
Well, the problem is the writing. Because you can do, there's heart to heart.
Heart to heart.
Remember that TV show?
Yeah.
Okay, I have them all on DVD.
And the Thin Man movies.
Yep.
Those folks were married, and it was and another one was
Scarecrow, Mrs. King.
well, that one's another.
But see, that was
another one.
unresolved too and then we resolved it and it wasn't as fun.
Anybody want to hear a secret? Don't tell
Sure.
anybody.
Don't tell anybody. Okay.
Don't tell. I have in my head the last Sniper and Rook story. The very last story, how the whole thing ends. And it ends with them together.
But it's at the end.
And it's at the end. And it's in a way that they can't come back. So one of these years we'll get to.
And see, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that with Olivia and Zach, but way down the road because I don't need to throw that in now.
well, yeah. Sometimes, so you know what? Sometimes having your story with an end in mind is a good thing because then you can at a certain point you can just pull out the end and say, "Bang, there it is," right? And then and also limiting something. So limiting something is a good idea because then it also can be concise, right? If it goes on forever and ever and ever, then sometimes it starts meandering off into who knows where, and then what was the show Heroes? Heroes got lost in itself, right? Because they were like, oh, we got to keep expanding this universe, and we don't have and then they tried to make too much story, and it's like, right. So, anyways, yeah.
So I think it occurred to me earlier. I think Twilight Grimm would make a great series on CW.
Yep.
Oh,
that
CW.
actually would.
Yeah, I think that would just fit right in there. It's got all the right elements to be a CW TV series.
Yeah, you take those characters and make them into teenagers, and that's a CW show right there.
Yep,
Although
is.
they have changed. Another company bought them out, and I can't remember who now. And they're trying to age it up. They're trying to age the CW up.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, they've got a niche. Why are they messing with a niche?
Yeah,
I
if it's
don't
not
know.
broke, don't fix it.
They're getting rid of all those teen shows, and they're keeping. Well, for one thing, they want to show golf.
Wait, what?
Yeah, golf. They're going to
That's
show
what I thought you
golf.
said. You mean like a stick and a ball?
Yep.
Not even like Happy Gilmore type.
Nope.
Oh wow.
They're only keeping a couple of
They wanna get
shows
the
that have aged up,
PGA.
like Walker. Because
They need to do one about lawn bowling. That would be so exciting.
there you go. God, we're gonna patent that one.
And the winner gets all they can eat protein, right?
Yeah, they're getting rid of all the
Sorry.
teeny bopper shows.
That's not.
Now, if they
good.
do a
That's
golf,
not a good
if they do a golf one, then if they do it about the grounds crew, that could be interesting.
No, I think
Grounds
what
crew's
you're
messing around all over the place doing who knows what.
When you see all those teeny bopper shows, they were popular, but with an age group that wasn't spending money.
that's right. Huh.
You see, so they were actually losing a ton of money on the CW because the crowd that they were aiming at wasn't the crowd that spends money.
Not the ones who have the credit cards and the wallets and the.
Well, apparently all the big boys have been losing money. So
Yeah.
Disney's apparently not doing so hot.
Yeah. Well, Disney got
hearing
passed
Warner
up
Brothers
by
is a little bit.
Universal for the first time.
Yeah.
What's that?
Universal Pictures passed them up as the highest grossing film production company this
Wow.
last year.
Yeah.
So
Well, apparently
it's a close,
Disney's
it's a close
lost
number two, but Disney's number two this year.
they apparently lost some $56 billion or something on the market.
Well, there's so many streaming services now, and they're losing money. And in order to make money, they're going to have to start having advertisements, which basically just makes them regular TV. So within the next few years, this is my prediction, within the next few years, they will have been all gobbled up, and we will have 4 or 5 major companies. So we'll have...
Or will they be dismantled and then sold off in pieces?
They will be gobbled up. So we're going to be back down to 5 or 6 major corporations having all the, and they might have sub accounts, but they're all going to be owned.
Kind of like Touchtone, how that was owned by Disney.
Yeah. And all the streaming services are going, Roku are going to be just what we all cheered and got excited when cable came along, and then cable was showing advertisements. It was just basically like a network channel, and that's where we're heading now with the streaming. They have to start showing advertisements, so they're basically just
when they got to the point of saturation, they were depending on the constant growth. But you get to a certain point where you saturated the market, and then there's no more growth. One will cannibalize the other.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we are. So that's not a difficult prediction to make. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it'll head.
We're already seeing advertisements in Netflix and Disney and stuff like that. They're already starting to creep in.
Yep.
Well, this is where we make our appeal to Roland and say, Roland, keep your finger on the pie. Don't let go of your properties, and you run the show, and let's make it homegrown and see what we can do. Silverline. So, hey, we've got the books, we've got the looks. I just made that up.
Not bad.
Well played.
Well, you know which saying that I came up with for Silverline?
Which one?
The one that we end the show with.
Get John off the screen.
Make mine Silverline.
Silverline.
I actually came up with that.
Oh, that is awesome. And
Yeah.
how many awesome industry folks have we heard say that now?
Quite a few. Hang on.
My name is Ross Ritchie from Boom Studios and Make Mine Silverline.